okay if I sit here? Hi, I'm Seema Saudry, and I'm going to be talking about my movie, Stepping High, and more specifically, the message behind the movie. So it's about me, Seema. I'm 32, and my whole life I have dreamt of becoming a professional dancer, and I've gotten a lot of high-profile gigs and I've traveled the world. But unfortunately, I've never gotten anything on the front line. And now, because of my age, it is very hard for me to get jobs because people prefer younger dancers, 25 and younger usually.
I asked you for 25 years and younger.
So I don't usually get a lot of jobs, but I still go to auditions because you never know when you get a job, right? My whole family is from Iran, and my dad really dislikes my career choice. He thinks I should have gotten a real education to get a proper job. But I was in luck. My boyfriend Matthew, who I hadn't told my parents about, he got me a job as a dance teacher at a high school. And that was the perfect opportunity to prove my dad wrong. But it proved to be harder than I thought. The principal at the high school, she wanted the dance classes canceled, and the only reason she hired me was because I didn't have any teaching experience. So I was her perfect candidate to fail. But I wasn't going to give up that easily. I had different plans. I absolutely fell in love with teaching, and I wanted to show my students that dance isn't only about the steps. Dance is about so much more. I taught them different dance styles from different cultures, and they seemed to be really enjoying it. Unfortunately, their parents thought otherwise. They accused me for teaching their kids inappropriate dance and wanted me dismissed and my class canceled. And of course, the principal completely agreed since she wanted my class canceled. I almost gave up at this point because on top of all of this, my dad accused me and got mad at me for ruining his image. But after seeing one of my students stand up to his bullies, I changed my mind. I decided not to resign, and I decided to take the case to the school board, where my students and I had a surprise performance, and it was amazing. Everyone was blown away, and when we were done, my class immediately got reinstated, and everyone apologized to me. And can you believe it? Even the principal apologized to me. I didn't believe it myself at first. My life took a drastic turn, but I never knew I would end up teaching and that I would love it so much. Now I'm going to tell you about the message of the movie. Well, actually the two messages. The main message and an underlying message that I think is very important as well. So the main message is that you should never give up on your dreams, no matter what anyone says or thinks. Me, for example, I got rejected time after time after time at auditions because of my age. My dad didn't support my dreams in addition to discouraging me, saying my performing arts degree was a useless degree that didn't qualify me for any meaningful job. Despite all this, I never gave up. Even after all these years of performing at competitions without winning, and being in music videos and commercials without ever being on the front line, I never stopped dancing because dancing is what I love to do, and I won't let anyone stop me from doing it. I think this is how everyone should live their lives, because why should we care what anyone else thinks of us or says about us, as long as we're doing what we love? The second message I want to talk about is that dreams can change. As you know, I wanted to become a famous dancer. However, when I started teaching, I absolutely fell in love with it. And I wanted to show my students that dance goes way beyond the steps. I taught them that dance is a language to address issues, make statements, dissolve borders, and force social change. And I think they could really see my passion for dancing and that this made them more eager to learn from me. What I'm trying to say by this is that you never know where you'll find happiness. People find happiness in the strangest places, and for me, it was at a dance studio with 8 students at a very conservative high school. Are you completely happy with where you're at right now in your life? Or could it be that your happiness lies in a completely different place? You can find it. You just have to look. Lastly, I'm going to talk about my favorite moments. One of my favorite moments was my presentation that I had for my students. I think it was the second class I had with them. And I created this presentation where I, through moves and through dance and through using my voice, I explained to them and showed them how the different dance styles were created, where they originated from, and which elements were used to create them. And my students were fascinated. They were all so focused and we had a blast. I even pulled some of them up to try some of the dance styles and we danced together. And everyone was cheering and it was just, we had an awesome time. And I think this presentation actually might have saved my job at that school, because if I hadn't had that presentation, one of my students would have probably left the class, which would have gotten the whole class canceled because I wouldn't have had 8 students anymore. Another one of my favorite moments was when I decided not to resign after all. After I got accused for undermining the school's values, and after my dad got really mad at me and accused me for ruining his image, I decided not to take this case to the school board and to resign. My boyfriend tried to convince me and he got really mad at me for giving up. But I didn't want to fight anymore. I was done fighting. But as I said earlier, when I saw one of my students stand up to his bullies, I understood that I couldn't give up this fight. I went to the principal's office and told her I was not going to resign. I didn't give her the letter of resignation. And this was a moment where I gained my confidence back. I started believing in myself again. So this was a very beautiful moment in my life. And the look of disbelief and shock on the principal's face, it was pretty satisfying, to be honest. And last but not least, the ending of the movie. I think this must be my favorite moment in my entire life. It was amazing. My chances of winning the school board seemed so slim at first, but when it was my turn to speak, my students and I got up on stage. They did an incredible job dancing, and I talked about how the different cultures is what brings our world together, and that's what makes America great. And afterwards, after my class got reinstated, everyone apologized. We were all celebrating. Everyone was happy. And my dad even accepted my boyfriend. This was the first time he'd ever met Matthew, because I'd kept him secret for over a year because I thought my dad would be against us dating. But seeing him accept Matthew was incredible. I was so happy. I was just so grateful for everything that evening. It was unforgettable. This is a moment I'm never going to forget. I will remember that for the rest of my life. And from people who've watched the movie, who've heard my story, they've told me that every time they watch the movie, they feel so inspired and like they can achieve anything. And I'm really happy that my story has inspired so many people. And I hope that you go for your dreams. I hope that I have inspired you to go for your dreams, because you shouldn't let anyone stop you. The only thing you should care about is if you love what you're doing. And if you do, go for it. And don't give up.